How's it going, everyone? My name is Chris, and welcome to the NASCAR iRacing 2003 play-by-play version for the Pepsi 400 here at the Daytona International Speedway. This is the first race that we're going to be using the NBC intro, and this is going to be the first race that will take us all the way to the end of the season with NBC as well. So this should be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are ready for what you guys are about to see here at Daytona. But before we do that, let's jump into the point standings of going into today's race. So Zachary Smithly, who has won 5 races so far this season, he won last time out at Infineon, extends his points lead ahead of Jeff Gordon going into today's race, with Ryan Newman following suit in 3rd, Jimmy Johnson following in 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th, Bill Elliott in 6th, Jeff Green in 7th, Kurt Busch in 8th, Matt Kenseth in the 9th, and Jeff Burton rounds out the top 10. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 11th, Jay McMurray 12th, Kevin Harvick in 13th, Bobby Labonte 14th, Michael Waltrip looking for a bounce back in 15th, Dale Jarrett in 16th, Tony Raines in 17th, Tony Stewart 18th, Rusty Wallace in 19th, and Sterling Marlin in 20th. There's a long list of drivers that are looking to have a turnaround for their season, as the first half hasn't gone as well as they would have expected from a lot of them. But in the case of the top 10, it has gone very, very well for them. Maybe not so Matt Kenseth. Kenseth is still searching for that first win of the season. Kurt Busch is still searching for that first win. Jeff Green's been there. He has been almost winning races so far this season. Bill Elliott still looking for another win after winning at Atlanta earlier in the year. Ricky Rudd, like we said before, is looking for a win. Jimmy Johnson still trying to win for the second time following Bristol. And Ryan Newman trying to go back to victory lane because he hasn't won since Vegas. So today we're going to see who is going to possibly get their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 6th win of the season, or their first win of the season, as there is still a lot up for grabs, not only here at Daytona, but also for the remainder of the season. So let's not continue to talk about it. Let's go on ahead and get to the starting lineup for the start of today's race. There we are at the starting lineup for the race today, and we're going to go through the starting lineup and see who starts where. So on row number 1, we have Sterling Marlin winning the pole for the Pepsi 400 today, with Bill Elliott just to his outside. Row number 2, it is Dale Jarrett and Jeff Green, who, like we said before, he's been there. He's just got to be able to seal the deal and finally get a win this season, and maybe today it could be that day. Row number 3 is Dale Jarrett's teammate Elliott Sadler and Jeff Burton to the outside of him. Row 4 is Burton's teammate Kenseth, and to his outside it is Kyle Petty. Row 5, it is Mike Skinner with a good qualifying result, and Rusty Wallace to his outside. Row 6, it is Jimmy Spencer and Michael Waltrip, who won the pole back at the 500 earlier this season, but also last year. Row 7 today, you'll find Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch still searching for that first win. Row 8 is the Roush Racing teammates of the previous play racing winner Gray Biffle, and to his outside Mark Martin, who has been running up at the front quite consistently in these play races. He's just not been there, unfortunately, towards the end to get the job done. Then row 9, it is the 2 drivers that still got to look out for today's race, is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon. Row 10 today, it is Ward Burton and Tony Stewart. Row 11, you will find Dave Blaney and Daytona 500 winner, and the driver looking to maybe win both Daytona races this season, Ryan Newman. Row 12, it is Johnny Benson and Jerry Nadeau. Row 13, it is Ricky Rudd still searching for that first win, and Robbie Gordon, who had a really good run last time out at Infineon, looking to keep that momentum going into today's race. Row 14, it is Tony Raines and Ken Schrader. Both drivers, or actually Tony Raines did not compete in the 500 earlier in the season, but Ken Schrader did. Row 15, it is Jamie McMurray and Kevin Harvick, who is also still searching for that first win, but ever since the Coca-Cola 600, unfortunately, he just hasn't been there. Row 16, it is Larry Foyt and Terry Labonte. Row 17, it is Joe Nemechek, who finished 2nd in the 500 earlier this season, and Casey Mears to his outside. Row 18, it is Steve Park and Jeremy Mayfield, who's having a good string of runs as of late after the abysmal run he had at Pocono. Row 19, you'll find Jason Keller and Bobby Labonte. Row 20 will be Todd Bodine and John Andretti. Row 21, it is Kenny Wallace and Ricky Craven. And rounding the field in row 22, it is the current Winston Cup Series points leader, Zachary Smithly, who, unfortunately, once again, qualifies last, and will unfortunately start today's race from last place. So we had the five DNQs for today's race, and those drivers are Buckshot Jones, Hermie Sadler, Shelby Howard, Scott Pruitt, and David Green. Buckshot, Hermie, and Pruitt actually made the 500 back in last year in February, or last February, and they were hoping to make today's race, but unfortunately, as luck would have it, luck just wasn't on their side for today to make it into today's show. But hopefully we'll see them at some other point later in the season. Hopefully, I think we will. And then we have the track information. So the pit window should be around lap 25 to 31, with tires lasting around lap 25 to lap 33, if you could savor them quite a bit. Running the higher line, running the middle line, running the low line, it kind of just depends on how much tire you're using, and also just how bad your tires might go away in the early stage of the race. And the fuel is going to be a big thing, because the fuel lasts only 25 to 30 laps, so it's actually 3 laps shorter than the tires. But with the fuel cells being as small as they are, it can only last around that amount of time. But also, the one thing you got to keep in mind is that this is also going to be a longer race. This is an 80-lap race here at Daytona. So with that fuel mileage, there's going to be 2 stops. But also for Daytona, you got to find your partner. You got to find whoever you can to draft up to the front with. And whoever you find to get your way up to the front is what's going to ultimately decide the race for you. And that'll be a good thing for some, bad thing for others. It really just kind of depends. But finding your partner and being able to draft with them and get your way to the front is going to be a big thing. Like we said earlier, fuel strategy might play a factor in all of this because of how small the fuel cells are, and with this being a longer race, there will be 2 stops, but the main question will be who puts the most fuel in their car to make it to the end, and that's going to be the main thing. And once more, the question we've been asking all season long is, will we have a brand new winner, or will we have a new multi-time winner? As we said earlier, there are drivers looking for their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 6th win of the season. Zachary so far has 5 wins this season. Jeff Burton with 3, Ryan Newman with 2, and you got Bill Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Jarrett with just 1 win apiece. So, will one of those drivers add another win to their name, or will we have another driver add their name to these lists of drivers that have won so far this season? Well, we're about to find out, but instead of sending it up to the Fox booth for them to lead us to green, let's go ahead and send it up to the NBC booth with our good pals of Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and the late Benny Parsons.
Maybe a splash and go somewhere along the line. I talked to some drivers and crew chiefs in the garage area. They felt like this race could be won on fuel mileage tonight.
There's definitely a couple guys looking at it. These opening laps of any race are always tense, but at a track with the restricted engine package where everyone stays bunched up, are they any more tense for the drivers?
Yeah, I think they are. I think when, this place in Talladega, for sure, when the race starts, it takes a little bit to get the cars up to speed. Like you said, it takes a little bit to get the air pressure up in these tires. But you're always going to have a couple of guys that are going to make some moves. So not only do you want, you're trying to stay focused, you're trying to stay in line and hold your position, you also have to be defensive right at the start, because there's always going to be some guys that flare out.
Steve Park leading the field down. We told his story to you a moment ago. Pace car heads off. We're getting set to start the 45th Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Glad you're with us.
At the front, Sterling Marlin. He'll lead lap number 1 here at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Bill Elliott in the 9 up there on the outside with Jeff Green just right behind him. The main thing that these drivers got to worry about, who can they trust to get them to the front? And also, who can also lead the most laps around here? You get 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, and that'll continue on all the way to the end of the season, and that'll be put on your points total at not only just the end of the race, but also at the end of the season. So being able to get those 5 extra bonus points is going to be crucial in a lot of different ways, and one of them could be the championship. See Bill Elliott fighting back on the outside. He'll lead that lap. Just a little bit over Marlin. As you can see for today's race, we have a brand new graphic for the top of the screen at the ticker. Burt making a third line with teammates Mark Martin and Kurt Busch behind. And they're going to bring Tony Stewart and what looks to be Ryan Newman with them. Now they're 3 abreast up at the front, 5 rows deep. Got a little bit of not unwobbliness, but not put together. The back of the pack is not really put together as well as the front are. So unfortunately, they're kind of spread out back there, but up at the front they are, and that's going to be the main thing that these drivers got to pay attention to. If you want to get to the front, you got to be able to trust the guy that you're going to work with. Otherwise, it ain't going to really end well. See Marlin kind of peeking out a little bit. You see Jeff Burton still trying to get to the outside of Bill Elliott. See Bill Elliott coming back in the middle. Pushed by Jeff Green in the 30. Oh, a little checkup in the middle between Rusty and Jeff Green. One of the main things that happened a lot back at the 500 and even at Talladega is the checkups, and sometimes drivers separating one another for the middle. It's the one thing that these drivers got to pay attention to and that they don't continue to do for the remainder of the race. There's a pretty big gap between Jeff Green and Rusty Wallace, and Kurt Busch could actually drop down in front of Rusty, but I don't think he wants to leave his teammate Jeff Burton, but you can't blame him for not wanting to do that. Oh, Mark thought about it. He does have the opportunity to go in the middle. He might want his teammates to go with, or he's going to keep following his teammates up on the outside. It'll work out, and that's going to push Jeff Burton to the front. Is he going to drop down in front of Bill Elliott? It doesn't look like he can. He's kind of in front of him, and he'll eventually get him, and he does. So Jeff Burton will leave his teammates back up on the outside to go into the middle, get in front of Bill Elliott, while Marlin continues to lead, now with the Robert Yates teammates behind him, and Jared and Sadler. One of the things that these drivers have had to learn is that this track is very different. This version of Daytona is very, very different to the one that we ran back in February of last year and earlier this season. It's not as bumpy, but it's still challenging and it's still tricky. You see Kurt Busch up on the outside getting a good run. Another checkup. Now in between Elliott and Jeff Green has transpired. Breaking up the middle that much more. Pushing them back ever so slightly. See back there Zachary actually getting around John Andretti in the 43. Kurt Busch led that lap. Ahead of Marlin in the 40. Marlin's pretty good here at Daytona. I say watch out for that Coors Light Dodge. He's gonna be a threat all night long. But the Roush Racing teammates of Burton, Kurt Busch, and Mark Martin, they look to be the 3 drivers that are going to be the main threat tonight. Look at Kurt Busch go on the outside, pushed by Martin. He drops down low right in front of Sterling Marlin. Leaves his teammate Mark Martin up there with Tony Stewart. Burton is still in the middle. But now out front, Kurt Busch leads at Daytona, and he was able to clear Marlin that pretty easily. As now there are still drivers jockeying for position. Zachary back there, he's actually made his way up from last place to about almost the top 20. They're kind of getting unorganized once again. But you see Dale Jarrett went to the outside in front of Jeff Burton. Leaving Bill Elliott down there on the low line. But Bill doesn't mind it as he's going to get right up to the back of Marlin. Jarrett's going to go all the way on the outside of Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart sticks with Mark Martin, so they're going to be 3 for the lead once again. You got Michael Waltrip and Jeff Green up there on the outside. Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman are getting up there. So is Johnny Benson. And it looks to be Jerry Nadeau in the U.S. Army Pontiac. Jarrett led that lap. Kurt Busch getting a little bit further out ahead. Whoa, he kind of looked like he was trying to get a little bit tight off of turn 2, Dale Jarrett. That kind of was a little bit terrifying to watch Dale Jarrett get a little bit tight up on the outside. That's one of the things that you got to pay attention to a lot tonight is the tires. Tires going to be a big issue, especially if you don't take care. I mean, there's not really an easy way of taking care of your tires because you want to go as fast as you can. You can't necessarily lift up out of the throttle and try to savor your tires as much as you want. You kind of just have to go, and if you hurt your tires, well, then you kind of hurt your tires. But the other thing these drivers got to keep in mind is that the right sides are the ones that take the most of the brunt. The left sides are normally not that bad after the first few laps of the race. So the tightness is mainly going to come from the right side tires because they're getting used up a lot more. And even drivers that are going to be up on the outside all night long, their tires are also going to get, their right side tires, I should say, are also going to get worn out pretty fast as well. But again, that's just one of the things that they got to keep in mind. It looks like Jarrett's kind of trying to keep it in the middle. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart in the 20, the defending champ, hasn't really had a great season, but he is getting up there. He didn't lead that time. Dale Jarrett did, but Tony Stewart, he's trying to get up there and lead a couple laps tonight. The middle line is open. He could drop down in front of him. I don't know if he wants to lead Jeff Green. Jeff Green's pushed him quite a ways, but he just might do it. These drivers back at the Daytona 500 and even at Talladega vied for the bottom quite a bit. But Kirk gets a nice run to prevent Dale Jarrett and Tony Stewart from getting to the inside of him and getting in front of him. Pushed Tony back, brought Jarrett forward. Kurt's teammates, Jeff Byrne and Mark Martin, they might want to get down there and help Kurt Busch, but it's almost like they don't have a choice to help Dale Jarrett, but it don't matter. They're still getting their way to the front, but they really want to might get Kurt Busch in with them, or they might want to get in front of Kurt. See Tony back up on the outside fighting hard. Got the Chevrolet buddies, Jeff Green and Michael Waltrip right behind him. Daytona 500 champ Ryan Newman just behind him as well. Bobby Labonte in the 18. He's done pretty well in these play races in the past. You got to watch out for him. He goes right into the middle, trying to maybe suck up to the 99. The 99 gives a really good push to Dale Jarrett in the 88. If you look back there, all drivers are still within under a blanket of one another. They are not going away from one another as Kurt Busch leads that time. Tony gets a nice run back up on the outside. Green actually went into the middle to get in front of Labonte, Tony's teammate, as a matter of fact. But Tony will stick up on the outside with Michael Waltrip behind him. They kind of check up a little bit. They check up more in the middle. So now a gap has opened up in between Jeff Byrne and Dale Jarrett. That's going to push him back even more. That might not be enough for Waltrip to push Tony past Dale Jarrett. Jarrett's actually still hanging tough, sidetracking him to the best of his ability. And in doing so, even though it allows Kurt Busch to get out further ahead, it'll allow Jeff Burton to get back up to the back bumper of Dale Jarrett in the 88. And now the top three has changed once again. The lead stays the same. Still in there. Bill Elliott's still in there. Jarrett's fighting back on the outside. Zach back there went really high. I don't know if he caught the wall. He may have actually tapped the wall a little bit. We couldn't quite tell. We didn't hear anything, so he may not have cut the wall. He'll be all right. He'll be okay. Byrne, actually, as a matter of fact, he went to the outside. He saw that working with Jarrett was not really helping him out, but here comes Tony. Is Tony going to help Jeff Burton in the 99? He just might. Will Jarrett go to the outside, or will he stick it in the middle? He'll stick it in the middle. Burton's just going to go right on the outside of Dale Jarrett. Meanwhile, his teammate, Kurt Busch, continues to lead. There goes Bill Elliott. I don't know if he should have waited to see if Dale Jarrett would get a little bit closer to him, but Bill Elliott went to the outside. That was a decision that he wanted to make, and he made it. Well, now that Bill Elliott left the bottom, that allowed Sadler to go up a position, but now because of the help from Dale Jarrett in the 88, Bill Elliott's going to go right to the outside. Jeff Burton in the 99 is hanging tough up there with Tony Stewart. As we head off turn 4 down the front straightaway, it's going to be lap 16. We've been doing this since Pocono in honor of the late great Biffle. So let's continue the one-lap trivia for him tonight. And the beauty of doing that one-lap tribute to Gray Biffle, Kurt Busch, Biffle's teammate, actually led coming to lap 16. And coming to lap 17, Gray Biffle also led that lap too. The other beautiful thing was that they were 3 wide going for the lead between the 97, the 9, and the 99. Held a 3-wide formation pretty much almost the entire lap. That was beautiful. Kurt Busch able to keep that run on the bottom going. Jeff Burton, he kind of got a little bit tight at 3. He had to chase it back down the track to get a better run. Oh, man, Zach back there. He, like, shot up the racetrack. That's going to be the main thing that these drivers got to pay attention to is their cars shooting up the track. And if that's happened to Zach, it could happen to anybody. Look at Jerry Nadeau in the 01 car. He's right behind Ryan Newman in the 12. Bill Elliott kind of gets a little bit out ahead, but not by much. Kurt's able to hang it on the bottom. Kurt's got some good company. He's got Marlin, Sadler, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Petty back there with Mike Skinner just behind him. And then Rusty and Jeff Gordon. The middle line's got some pretty good drivers as well, but that outside, they're coming. They're unorganized back in the middle. Once again, something happened to Newman. He checked up. Now there's a big gap in between Newman and Dale Jarrett. And Jeff Burton, he'll finally grab the lead. Will he jump to the inside right in front of his teammate? He'll lead that lap. Does he get in front of Kurt Busch? He can't get in front of Kurt, but here comes Tony up on the outside. Kurt fighting back in the bottom. Kurt Busch, he didn't lead that lap, but he was able to get a better run to get back in front of him. Still getting pushed by the 40 of Marlin. Jeff Burton, the 99, still got Bill Elliott behind him. Burton didn't really know if he wanted to leave Tony Stewart up there on the outside, but considering that Tony has Michael Waltrip in the 18 or the 15, excuse me, behind him, that might be a problem. He's also got Benson and Ward Burton as well behind, then Bobby Labonte and then Dale Jr. back there. Burton still led that lap as they're 3 wide again for the lead between Tony Burton and Kurt Busch. Still finding out. Whoa, Zach! With the camera pan backwards and saw Zach shooting down the racetrack. He may have actually caught the wall in turn 1 that time, compared to the previous time we thought he caught the wall. You see now Jeff Burton gets in front of his teammate Kurt Busch, but in turn, it allows Tony Stewart in the 20 to get a better run on the outside. He'll clear all 3 lines and jump down right in front of Jeff Burton. Tony Stewart leads at Daytona, but here comes Bill Elliott in the 9 with Dale Jarrett behind him. Waltrip's out there on the outside. Dale Jarrett pushing Bill Elliott past Tony Stewart. Elliott leads that lap, but will he get in front of Tony? Doesn't look like he's clear enough. Tony, with the help of the Roush Racing teammates, able to get back out in front of Elliott. And you see Zach back there. He's trying to figure out what line he wants to run. He doesn't know if he wants to run the middle or run the top. The chess match of which line do you want to run? Which line do you think is going to be the fastest? Because back there, Pasdale Jr., just 2x2 is all they're at right now. Well, the middle kind of checked up again. Maybe going to the outside will be a good idea, and it looks like it will for some drivers. Tony trying to hold that lead as we're 20 laps down. We're coming to 21 laps down, and on lap 22, Tony's through leads. 5 bonus points goes to Tony. He'll definitely need those for the remainder of the year, considering where he is in the point standings, which is not good coming out of today's race. Waltrip over there in the 15. He hasn't had a good string of races since the Coca-Cola 600 a few races ago. He's really looking for a bounce back, and he's doing that so right now, but Bill Elliott in the 9 going at it for the lead, making it 3 wide. Again, a checkup in between the 9 and the 88 happens, and they're going to go backwards. Can they get back up to the 9 of Bill Elliott in time to not mess up the train that they got going on? Looks like they were able to. There's still a gap between Jerry Nadeau and Mark Martin. But Tony continues to lead. Now Bill Elliott continuing to fight on the outside with Dale Jarrett just behind him. And Bill Elliott gets right in front of Tony Stewart, vying for that bottom line. That's what they've been doing. That's what they're going to do all night long. It's a little bit of a checkup between the 97 and the 40. You got to pay attention to these checkups because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to be detrimental or if it'll be a blessing in a way. Here comes Dale Jarrett on the outside. Will he lead this time? No. Goes to Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott barely beat Dale Jarrett that time. Well, now that we're getting down to it, time to start thinking about when you want to pit. Now, pitting here in Daytona is very tricky, especially if you're the first pit box. If you're the first pit stall on pit road, that is going to be tricky for you to get woed down just enough in time. Got to brake really early, but for some drivers that are towards the front of the pits, I should say, that'll be easier for them because they won't have to worry about a whole lot. So coming down into pit lane is going to be a very tricky thing to do, and it's also going to be a very busy place. You just got to think as well, any of these drivers take tires, whether it's 2 or 4 or none, or if it'll all just be fuel. And speaking of which, you see Johnny Benson in the 10 car. He's actually up on the outside. Help from Ward Burton. Dale Jarrett trying to get out in front of Bill Elliott. Doesn't look like it'll happen, but Johnny Benson in the 10 doing pretty good so far. Almost inside the top 3. Stewart jumps to the outside, and maybe you might think he has a run on Bill Elliott, which it looks like he does. He doesn't have that push from Dale Jarrett, though, in the 88. He does lead that lap, though. Nice run from Tony to lead that lap. Here comes Benson and Ward Burton behind. Zachary's in there with Steve Park, Jimmy Johnson, Terry Labonte, Robbie Gordon, and Jeff Gordon. That outside's got some pretty big names up there, let me tell you. Gap formed between Benson and Ward Burton, but also a big gap in between Michael Waltrip and Bobby Labonte in the middle formed as well. It'll allow Johnny Benson to go from the top to the middle. And it looks like he goes back to the outside. He got a good run on Michael Waltrip in the 15. All up ahead, Tony got a really good push from Bill Elliott to continue to lead here at Daytona. Not bad. You're hearing about the next couple of laps. It seems like we might see some pit stops. When that might be, what lap that might be, I should say, we have no idea. We're thinking around maybe lap 28 is when the first pit cycles will start. Maybe this lap it'll start. Nobody really has an idea. When you come down pit road, you don't want to come down by yourself. You want to come down with a pack. You want to come down with a group of cars so you can latch onto them, and so that you get your way to the front. All the more better. You see, actually, Kurt Busch stacked up on the bottom, separating him and Jeff Burton, but Michael Waltrip actually got down to the bottom. That might be Michael's cue to get down to the bottom and maybe even make some pit stops. See, Jarrett actually fights on the outside, passes Tony Stewart for the lead. He gets Tony. But Tony fights back on the bottom to grab the lead back. Seems like a lot of these drivers might be thinking about coming down pit road. You see Marlin actually in the 40. He might be, with him dipping his tires below the yellow line. I think he did that a couple times at Daytona and Talladega. He dipped his tire below the yellow line. Not to pass anybody, but to kind of give the indication that he might be coming down pit road. So we're going to see if anybody's going to come down this time, and it looks like there will be cars. A little bit of a checkup on the bottom because of it. Only 4 cars, it looked like, came down pit road. Tony was left out hanging because his drafting partners went down pit road, so Jared is out front. There you see Bill Elliott, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch. Sterling Marlin came down pit road. Just those 4 were the only 4 that came down pit lane. But in turn, because of them coming down pit road, it actually checked up the inside. And it pushed them back quite a ways. Look at the gap between Michael Waltrip and Zachary. Zach actually let off the throttle quite a bit to let Terry Labonte get in front of him so he can get behind Terry. Zach might be coming down pit road, but this entire pack might come down pit road. We're gonna find out as we're looking. There goes Newman. Yep, it looks like it. There's a little bit in the front, some in the back actually came down pit road, led by Newman in the 12. See, Bobby Labonte goes around the outside of Johnny Benson. Yeah, you got Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, Zachary weaving his way around the slow traffic. Zach actually doesn't have the last pit stall, as a matter of fact. Yeah, a lot of drivers coming down pit road. You see Jeff Green was down there, John Andretti, Jeremy Mayfield, Craven, Kyle Petty, Kenny Wallace, obviously Zachary. Dale Jarrett was another one that came down pit road. We're gonna see how many drivers in this tiny little pack are gonna come down pit road, because it seems like lap after lap, some more cars come down pit road. So we're gonna see if this pack comes, and it does look like it will. Bobby Labonte is the first one to come in. Johnson will actually lead a lap here at Daytona ahead of his teammate Terry. Let's look down pit road. A little bit of a checkup by Johnny Benson, Dale Jr., Elliott Sadler, Ward Burton, Mike Skinner, Ricky Rudd. Dave Blaney coming down pit road. Bobby Labonte was another one that came down pit road. He was the one that checked up these drivers. There's Biffle, there's Blaney, Harvick, Nemechek, it looked like. These drivers coming out of the pits. Oh, Johnson! Oh! Terry actually kind of forced Johnson to check up as they were catching Zachary and Kyle Petty coming out of the pits. And Terry, as a matter of fact, forced his teammate to check up right behind him, because he wanted the lead, but Johnson didn't want him to pass him. As these two might come down pit road, it looks like they will. Looks like they're going to bring Casey Mears with them. And then the Roush teammates and Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth are coming down pit road as well. And you see, oh man, they almost made contact, the two of Terry Labonte and Jimmy Johnson. Man, oh man. Got to be careful coming into the pits. Saw Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth. Casey Mears was actually in there as well. So now there's still one driver that has not yet pitted so far. And I think it might be that 31 of Steve Park. So they're catching a lot of lap traffic. Kyle Petty, whoa! Zach cut around. Zach made the right choice to get around those 3 slow guys coming out of the pits. And Kyle Petty just had no idea what he wanted to do. Zachary in the 80s actually fine. He went right around Gray Biffle like it was nothing. But also Biffle was coming out of the pits. Now you see the 31 of Steve Park coming down pit road. And now we're going to pick up on the new leader as we see Steve Park coming down pit road. Now this is going to pose a problem for Steve Park, because he's the only driver that came in by his lonesome. And right now, with the way that everything is kind of going, Terry Labonte is still leading, with Johnson right behind him. Casey Mears just got passed. Look at this big pack of cars. Look at Kurt Busch on the outside. Went right around the outside of John Andretti like it was nothing. Trying to bring Robbie Gordon and Jeff Burton with them. Johnson and Terry Labonte trying to get up to speed. There comes Steve Park out of the pits. As you look a little bit further back, there you see the pack of cars led by Terry. So Terry Labonte will actually gain a massive chunk out of this, because he actually waited a pit, as did his teammate Jimmy Johnson. So look a little bit further back. There now see Robbie Gordon getting a really good run with help from Jeff Burton. Oh, Steve Park's right in the middle of the racetrack. Holy moly. What in the world was Steve Park doing? It allowed Jeff Byrne to take the lead, but my lord. That was very, very dangerous on Steve Park's behalf, and I'm not 100% sure NASCAR could be happy about that, or maybe they might not bat an eye to it. Who knows at this point? But up at the front, Robbie Gorin trying to lead a lap. As you see another pack of cars led by Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8s. They've got more drivers, so they have a lot more speed to carry. But there's also another car behind that pack, so that's going to be big. So this is the front group led by Jeff Burton, the 99. And you got Terry Labonte just behind him. Robbie Gorin up there on the outside with Kurt Busch, who also has Johnny Benson behind him. Jimmy Johnson, Bill Elliott, Jay McMurray, they're on the inside. Robbie Gorin getting a nice push down the back straightaway to maybe get in front of Jeff Byrne to grab the lead. Doesn't look like he can, which is unfortunate. Now we look back to this pack of cars. This pack has pretty much all the fast cars in it. Got Ricky Rudd in the 21. They're catching Steve Park in the 31, as a matter of fact. Jeff Byrne led that lap. Top Bodine going to the outside. It looks like he kind of had a run on Ricky Rudd. These drivers got to pay attention to the 31. Junior goes to the outside of Steve Park, his old teammate. And Junior's going to go right around the outside. Maybe Tony tucks in behind him. He wasn't as slow, but he was a little bit slow. See Jeff Gorin, the top two in the championship. Jeff Gorin and Zachary are in this pack. Watch out for those two. There's another pack of cars led by Matt Kenseth in the 17. There's Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, Mike Skinner, Jason Keller, Larry Foyt, Greg Biffle. There was another car behind Biffle. It was Sadler. That's who it was. A lot of big names that are behind another pack of cars. Got another pack here led by Jeff Green in the 30. With Nemechek, Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Spencer, Tony Raines, and Kenny Wallace. And then all the way in the back, Ryan Newman by himself, Craven by himself, and Dave Blaney by himself. And there are the leaders, with Jeff Byrne leading them. Or Byrne's kind of falling off the back of this pack, but he might get picked up from the next pack of cars who are catching this pack slowly but surely. But they are catching them. See, Nadeau's up on the outside all by his lonesome. He's trying to make something happen, trying to get around the Everham Dodge of Jeremy Mayfield as something happened in between Kurt Busch and Johnny Benson to force Benson to check up. And it looks like they got back up together pretty well, so it's not too bad. Robbie Gorin led that lap. Pretty good on Robbie's behalf. You see now Robbie's still trying to fight the Roush Racing forward of Jeff Burton, but now Kurt Busch is up on the outside. That's Jeff's teammate. Doesn't look like it's going to get him at all farther, because there's nobody up on the outside to really help him. Nadeau was kind of going backwards because he wasn't getting any help, and Kurt Busch went backwards because he also wasn't getting any help. Now this pack of cars, they're catching them, but also the pack that Matt Kenseth was leading is now a part of this group. Just saw Zachary, I think, back there just go right to the outside of Matt Kenseth. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but that kind of just like shot in between Matt Kenseth and Dale Jarrett. Didn't quite know what happened there. Elliott Sadler, unfortunately, looks like he's falling off the pack. There is a slow car right in front of the leaders. It is Dave Blaney in the 77. They are a little bit far. They're a little bit far away from him, so they got enough time to maybe make a 2x2 and maybe get to the outside and pass the 77 of Dave Blaney with ease. And it might just happen as now that second pack has now bunched up. They're now part of this pack, but they're catching, like we said, Dave Blaney in the 77. Again, another checkup for Johnny Benson in the 10. What's happened to Johnny? But here they come into the trial off turn 4. Byrne goes to the outside. He's going to trap the Hendricks teammates right to the inside, right behind Dave Blaney. That was actually perfect on the behalf of Jeff Burton, but it also was detrimental. Look who's taking the lead. It's Kurt Busch with more Byrne behind him. Jeff's brother, I should say. His teammate and brother just passed him. But it also doesn't look like that checkup really hurt the bottom a whole lot, because they're going to use Dave Blaney as a pick. They're going to use him as the advantage to get back up to the front, and they did. Now the only problem is they have a car in between them and the leaders. Benson's going to grab the lead. Casey Mears is going to push them right by. He's going to get inside the top 3. He's got Mayfield, Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Rudd, and Zachary just behind him. As Benson will lead that lap. Man, oh man. Well, now this small pack of cars became a pretty big pack. I'm not going to say, oh, Zach, I back there. He's all right, he keeps going. Gets right in front of Tony. He might actually want Tony to get around him, but it just kind of depends, really. Tony might actually stay behind Zach. It looks like he will. There goes Casey Mears going for the lead, pushed by Ward Burton. Watch out for that outside with Jeremy Mayfield up there. Mayfield's having a pretty good string of races. Leading here at Daytona, even winning here at Daytona is going to be big for that 19 car. And Evernham, who's going to lead this lap? It looks like Mears was able to. Halfway through the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Benson, Mears, Mayfield, Kurt Busch, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, Bernard Jr. The list of names goes on. The drivers competing for the lead and possibly for the win, but also they got one more pit stop to go through. Benson in the 10, not in the 1, the 10. Doing pretty good. There's the one of Robbie Gore right behind Ward Burton and Casey Mears. Another checkup. Actually, the first checkup on the bottom has happened. That's going to force Benson and Kurt Busch back a little bit. That's going to allow Casey Mears to get out front. And now we won't even have to maybe get a camera out to see if he leads this lap, because he's going to lead this lap for good. Robbie Gore now up on the outside with the 19 of Jeremy Mayfield. But guess who's behind Jeremy Mayfield? It's his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And just a couple cars back, look who's in the middle. It's Michael Waltrip. The DEI boys are showing up at Daytona once again. But a lot of these drivers, they're going to have to really get on with it. They're going to really have to make a stride and go after him and make a move. See, Nadeau, he dropped to the inside. A little checkup happened in the middle. He dropped to the bottom. Robbie might want to try to shake the 19 of Jeremy Mayfield out. He might want Mayfield to take the middle so Junior can get up behind him, but look at Harvick. He gets a really good run in the middle. My gosh. The great thing for Harvick, though, is that his teammate Steve Park is right in front of him. But another great thing for Harvick is Michael Waltrip just behind him. Mears has got some good company on the bottom. He's got Benson, Kurt Busch, and Jeff Burton just behind him, and the lap car, Dave Blaney, as well. Look at the middle. There you see Ward Burton coming up. But also look at the outside with Robbie Gordon. That momentum on the outside in the middle. That's working. Labonte and Kyle Petty look to be going to the outside. They might want to try something. They might look back in the middle. Zachary, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. 3 wide for the lead. Who's going to lead this time? It looks like Mears will lead that time. My, oh my. Where Burton's still going at it. Oh man, still 3 wide for the lead. It almost looked like the 41 made a little bit of contact with Ward Burton, but not quite. Robbie Gordon gets a good push down the back straightaway. He's going to go all the way to the bottom. It looks like he will. Ward Burton's going to go with him. Here comes Jeremy Mayfield in the 19. Going to the outside. Pushed by Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Rudd, Zachary, and Labonte. But it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to push Mayfield out ahead enough to get him the lead from to lead this lap, because it's going to go to Robbie Gore in the 1. We're burning the 22 just behind him. Harvick, he went right to the inside. There was barely any room to get in between Johnny Benson and Kurt Busch, and it worked somehow. Casey Mears actually left the bottom to go into the middle right in front of Steve Park. Park is actually doing pretty good here. The outside is unfortunately kind of going backwards. Junior's trying everything he can to push Jeremy Mayfield up there. It looks like they're getting a little bit of a run up there. The middle checked up a little bit. That might help them. It's going to be detrimental to the 31 and the 41, because they're not going to be able to get up to Robbie Gordon, but they got close enough. But now they got to really pay attention. They're catching Craven and Ryan Newman. They're a 2-car tandem, but this is not looking good for them, as now that outside line's going to the middle. Now it looks like they're going to try the outside line once again. Ricky Rudd and Zach were up there, but they got to pay attention, though. Look at the two drivers. They're stuck. They're right in the middle. They're going to go to the inside, though, and that's going to be right in front of Robbie Gorman, the one, if he doesn't react in time. If Robbie Gorman wants to keep this lead, he's got to go to the outside. He's got to go to the outside sooner rather than later. Will he jump to the outside again in front of Casey Mears? He's got the room. He can do it. He's not going to, though. He's going to get checked up. He gets checked up a lot. Casey Mears is going to take the lead at Daytona, helped by Steve Park and Jeremy Mayfield. Robbie had a choice to go to the outside, and he did not take it. And he should have, but he didn't take it. He still led that lap, but in turn, he's lost the lead. He's lost not only just the lead, but second and third. He'll get third back, but with Ryan Newman and Ricky Craven now in between him and the race leader, that's going to pose a problem. As now a gap is opened up in between Johnny Benson and Kevin Harvick. Newman up on the outside trying to get his lap back, but that's going to be a problem because he's not going for the lead. But Park is. Mears leads the lap. Park is going to all the way to the front on the outside. Get him cleared? He can't get him cleared, but he's close to the front. He'll drop down right in front of Ryan Newman. Zachary Smithly in the 80 car. He got a really good run in the middle of 1 and 2 to catch back up to Mayfield and Earnhardt Jr. Kansas to the 17 back there, looking to get a good drop up to the 80 of Smithly. Looks like he does, and now there's 4 cars up on that outside. Mayfield, Earnhardt, Smithly, and Kenseth. Now they're really getting racy, but once more, they got another pit stop to go through, and then they got a pit stop to worry about. Steve Park led that time, barely, but he led that lap. Mears kind of came back on him. Now they're 3 wide for the lead once again. Now with Mayfield on the outside. Mike Skinner in the 4. He's held it really good up there in the top 10 all night long. Here goes Park to the bottom, right in front of Mears. Jeremy Mayfield now trying to fight on the outside, but with Ryan Newman in the middle, this is going to be a problem because Waltrip in the 15, he can go for the lead, but with a lap car in front of him, there's not much he can do. Newman gets out ahead, but it's still going to go to Steve Park. It still goes to him. Terry Labonte actually went to the outside. Looks like Mark Martin's going to jump to the outside as well. That outside line's going. Still 3 wide with 2 of those cars on the lead lap and 1 in the middle of Ryan Newman. A lap down. Mayfield grabbing the lead. They can't clear Park. So it's going to allow Steve Park to get really close, and he's going to grab the lead back. That outside line, they kind of checked up a little bit. Skinner looked like he might have wanted to go to the outside. Craven goes down pit road. So that's 1 less lap car they got to worry about. As now Casey Mears jumps to the outside. Ooh, here comes Tony Raines out of the pits. Looks like pit stops are starting to happen. If that's the case, and that's what the driver's got to worry about. See Dale Earnhardt Jr. just behind Casey Mears, and guess who's behind him? The top 2 in the championship, it's Zachary and Jeff Gordon. Zachary trying to hold it in the middle. He hasn't raced that middle line all night. He hasn't raced the middle at all at Daytona or Talladega. This is his first experience in the middle. And, well, concerning how he looked like down the back straightaway, and even in turns 1 and 2 with him being all squirrely and a little bit in 3 and 4 right there, he may not like the middle as much. Here's some cars coming out of the pits. Steve Park continues to lead that lap. You see Rusty coming out of the pits. Now Mayfield gets another really good push from Matt Kenseth in the 17 to get to the outside of Casey Mears. Steve Park still has the help from Ryan Newman in the 12th. That might go away at some point because the pit stops might be happening in the next few laps. See, Zach and Gordon got a really good run down the back straightaway. Junior got in front of his teammate, Michael Waltrip. He left Casey out there all by his lonesome in the middle. But now it's the rookies with Jeff Gordon behind him in the middle. Steve Park still doing pretty well. Still has the advantage with the help of Ryan Newman behind. Newman's been quick. They are catching Ricky Craven. Ooh, Zach got a little close to Kenseth. Smithly got really close to Kenseth there, off of turn 2, or in the middle of 1 and 2. As they head down the back straightaway, Steve Park's got the lead, but look at the push. The push by Smithly to Mears. That's going to allow Casey Mears to get to the front. Now Smithly can play with any line that he wants to. Park went to the outside of Mears. But can Mears lead the lap? He still can. Smithly goes to the outside. There's Craven. He's going to check up the inside, it looks like, again. They get stacked up. The bottom gets stacked up. Now it's Zach and Steve Park. Out front. So they head down that back straightaway. Kenseth in the middle. But it looks like they're very far out ahead of Park because Park went to the bottom when they were still stacking up. Smithly drops to the inside. He hasn't led a lap here at Daytona. Tonight might be the night. He led laps at Talladega earlier in the year. As they head into the trial full, Zach will finally lead a lap at Daytona. That's not good for Jeff Gordon because his championship rival just got 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Here comes Mayfield on that outside. Zach hasn't actually ran the bottom at all either. He's mainly ran the outside in the previous 2 races, or 2 previous plate races at Daytona and Talladega. So run the bottom here is going to be huge for Zach. As you see, Terry Labonte actually gets a really good push from Dave Blaney down the back straightaway. Will he take advantage of it? Drop down right in front of Zach. Zach clips the apron a little bit. He's going to keep it on the bottom, though. Get a nice run on Terry Labonte in the 5. Slides up a little bit, not by much, though. Zach goes way below the yellow line. I don't know what happened there with his steering input may have been off, but that allowed Terry to grab the lead the lap, and there they go. Now on the outside with Johnny Benson. He's trying to get in front of Mayfield, and Mayfield's just trying to not let that happen. Whoa, see Zach, he actually got really squirrely on the bottom right there. And even though Dave Blaney got in front of Mayfield, Mayfield just pushed Dave Blaney right in front of the lower line. Here comes Johnny Benson, the 10, pushed by Biffle. And Biffle's got Bobby Labonte, John Andretti, and Mike Skinner behind him. Biffle won last time out at Talladega in the last plate race. He's got another chance to do it again. He's got to get up to Benson, though, in order for that to happen. But pit stops are coming up. They are coming up. So that outside's kind of getting unorganized a little bit. They're still together, but they're not getting as much speed. Mayfield, it looks like it's going to jump to the outside. Maybe not. That outside might drop in just behind Mark Martin. And Bobby Labonte is just going to shuffle Greg Biffle out to dry. As Benson continues to lead with help from Dave Blaney on the bottom and Terry Labonte behind him. Zach's still trying to run that bottom line. He's not used to it. He's not used to running the inside. And the lap 58. We're into the fuel window now. And the question is, who's going to pit and who won't pit? That'll be the name of the game for tonight. And that'll also be the determining factor of who is going to end up being the winner at the end of tonight's race. See, Mayfield actually getting a good push. Man, there's a big checkup on the outside of the middle back there. Don't know what happened there, but it's got Andretti in the 43 back there. Man. Yeah, there they are. They're coming back. I don't know what happened. They were separated for quite a while. Mayfield trying to go for it, but there goes the Roush Racing teammates of Mark Martin and Greg Biffle. They're going with Sterling Marley, coming down pit road. He's the first one down, but he's the only one coming down pit road by his lonesome. Unfortunately, Marlin isn't going to have anybody to drive him to the front with. He ain't going to have anybody to be around. So he's really got to hustle if he's going to want to not be pulled back down when he comes out of the pits. But now with that happening, that's going to trigger who else is going to come down pit road. I guess we're about to find out who's going to be next. Will it be the lap car of Dave Blaney coming down pit road? Or will it be somebody else? Maybe Newman might want to come down to the inside and go to pit lane. It looks like he will. Zach kind of got a little squirrely on the bottom again. So Newman might want to come down pit road. Craven in the 32 doesn't want to come down pit road because he already did. There goes Newman down pit road. Just behind them, Larry Foy in the 14, I think, came down. Martin led that lap. Now it's pretty much a chess match of who's going to come down pit road and who's going to stay out. Martin and Newman came down pit road by themselves. That's going to be the main thing these drivers are going to have to pay attention to. Do they want to come down by themselves or do they want to come down with others? Well, as we're coming to 20 laps to go, that's going to be the main thing that these drivers are going to have to pay attention to. The main thing that they gotta ask. Do I want to come down by myself or do I want someone to be with me? Well, we're going to find out. Oh, trouble. Jarrett into the wall. As pit stops happen, Dale Jarrett catches the wall. Don't know what happened there as pit cycles happen again. Biffle led that time. As we're going to see who's down pit lane right now. Bunch of cars. Jeff Byrne, Jay McMurray, Jerry Nadeau, Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty, Robbie Gordon. There's Jason Keller. A lot of drivers. Johnny Benson is on pit road. Lots of drivers. Now we're going to see in this second pack who else is going to come down pit road. It's Dale Jarrett. After he caught the wall, got damage on the right side. Don't really know what happened to him. He may have made a little bit of contact with Zach, and that may have triggered it. That may have caused it. Not too sure about that. There's Sterling Marlin. He's by his lonesome. He's out of the pits already as they come down pit lane. This next pack of cars led by Mark Martin. Steve Park stays out. As we look, there's Mark Martin. And oh, trouble on pit road between Zach and Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield was coming into his pit. Zach had no idea, and they both made contact on pit road. What in the world is going on? 2 incidents in the span of 2 laps. Man, oh man. Lots of drivers coming down pit road, though, such as the Joe Racing teammates of Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came down pit road. Jeff Gordon came down pit road. Lots of drivers. But now this second pack of cars are going to be the next pack, I think, to come down. Here comes Jeff Byrne. He's out of the pits, but I think Greg Biffle might be using him as a pick. Marlin's a lap down, but Rudd might be wanting to come down pit road as well. He's going to come down pit road. Marlin will get his lap back. Looks like Craven will get his lap back. Kenza will stay in the lead. But you see these drivers come down pit road, led by Ricky Rudd in the 21. See Kenza taking the lead, and no trouble! Ward Burns spins on pit road. He's in the grass. Ricky Rudd in the 21, he missed his pit stall. He stops on pit road. He couldn't get into his pit stall. Unfortunately, Rudd's going to have to go around another lap. But Ward Burn is in the grass. He got spun out on pit road by contact with Rudd. And it just seems like Ward Burns is going to drive through the grass as 3 cars are coming up by him. My lord! The caution is out because Ward Burn just stopped on the track. That could have ended badly. Holy cow. Okay. I don't know what Ward Burn was thinking, but Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and Rusty Wallace were all coming by. And they almost made contact with him because of Ward Burn rejoining the track in the way that he did. Holy moly. Take a look at what happened, the replay. Well, it looks like Rudd made contact with Greg Biffle, and then he just kept turning left, and he slammed into the side of Ward Burn, spinning him out. But like we said, in turn, Ricky Rudd missed his pit stall. And Ward just kind of sits there a little bit. See drivers exiting in their pit. As a matter of fact, there was another car that spun out back there. Can't quite tell who that is, but then you just see Ward Burn just drive up on the track, come to a complete stop, as the 23 and 2 are coming by. And Jimmy Spencer as well. As we see what happened to Terry Labonte. It looks like it was Terry. They both were slowing down. Oh, man. Terry was trying to get into his pit stall first he was trying to get his pit stall because his pit stall was right before Harvick's, and Harvick didn't really know what he was doing. And in turn, unfortunately, he spun out Terry Labonte and took him out of the race. See what happened to Ricky Rudd and what caused this. Sees his pit stall. There's Biffle, makes contact with him, and then he makes contact with Ward Burton. And he can't get into his pit stall now because he's too far out. He couldn't turn in anymore. Man, Let's ride on board with Ward Burton and see what happened, and get his perspective of what happened. I think, as a matter of fact, they were 3 wide coming into the pits. Yeah, they were 3 wide. So there's Rookie Russ pit coming up. He actually hits Biffle, then clips Burton. And Burton's in the grass, and Burton has 2 choices. He can turn back onto the racetrack, or he can turn back onto pit road, and we're still green. The yellow flag hasn't come out yet. And here in a little bit, it will, once he stops on the track, as you see him right here. Just look at how close the Wallaces were to hitting him. Oh my lord, that was so close. There was actually an incident as well beforehand with Mayfield and Zach. See, Mayfield's coming in. There's his pit stall. Oh, Zach just had no idea that Jeremy Mayfield was turning into his pit stall, and he just clobbered the side of Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield did eventually come down and get his car fixed and got the fuel and everything. But we're right on board with him. He sees his pit stall. Out of nowhere, there's Zach. Smithly just came out of nowhere, but I don't even think Smithly even knew that he was coming down pit road. We'll have an onboard cam for Smithly as well to see what he saw. Already locking up the tires going into the pits. And oh man, Mayfield kind of faked it out too. So maybe that's what may have surprised Smithly, was that Mayfield kind of made it look like he was coming down pit road, and that he was going to come down pit road, and just confused Zach a little bit. But man, oh man, there was also an incident that happened before all the pit cycles started to happen. This is actually as the pit cycle was happening with Dale Jarrett. Oh, he actually made contact with Zach. What in the world? So Dale Jarrett and Zachary Smithly got together. I don't even think Smithly even knew about it. Man, just that tiny little tap is what sent Dale Jarrett into the wall. I think Zach was reacting to the cars pitting in front of him. We can get a better angle from Craven, I think. See the cars ahead. Junior. Oh, Junior was actually coming down into the pits, and he was right in front of Zach. And if Zach didn't react, he was actually going to hit Dale Jr., but I think he still ended up hitting Dale Jr. anyways, because Junior got a little squirrely and actually missed pit road that time. On board with Junior. Junior comes down. Oh yeah, they made a little bit of contact. Zach and Earnhardt did. Get another angle from Smithly, see what he saw. Man, it wasn't too much contact, but it was just enough contact to force Dale Jr. to miss pit lane. So very unfortunate for Dale Jr. to miss pit lane, and man, Zach was 3 of those replays. That is how much he was involved in, and 2 of them, or rather one of them, the entrance into pit road, didn't even look like he was trying to do it on purpose or whatever. He was just reacting to the cars ahead coming onto pit lane, and in turn, that's what unfortunately caused Dale Jarrett to get some damage. Jarrett's back up at the front though. He's just behind Robbie Gordon, so he used the fast repair, so he's all good. And Zach's just a few cars back behind Dale Jarrett. Oh man, oh man. Well, this is going to get interesting because there are lap cars in front of the leaders. However, there are cars that are 1 lap down and cars that are 2 laps down. All the drivers in front of Bobby Labonte are 1 lap down, and there are some cars that are actually 2 laps down behind the leaders. So when we go back racing, we're going to see him. But Bobby Labonte is leading here at Daytona with his teammate Tony Stewart just behind him, and then Jeremy Mayfield in 3rd, Robbie Gordon in 4th, Dale Jarrett in 5th, and then it is John Andretti in 6th. Well, it looks to be Tony Rank. Nope, Johnny Benson in 7th, Zachary is in 8th, Casey Mears is in 9th, and I believe Mark Martin was running out the top 10. So this is going to be an interesting final few laps that are going to be on display here at Daytona. Bobby Labonte's still searching for that first win of 03. He didn't finish well at Infineon last time out. As a matter of fact, he finished last after getting caught up in an incident. So this one's going to be pretty big for Bobby Labonte if he can seal the deal and win. But the problem is that he's going to have to fend off all the cars behind him, but he's also got to find his way around these lap cars as well, because the lap cars are going to pose a problem for him, and that's not going to be good on his behalf. As we have 1 lap to green, See all the cars going to the outside. Got the lap cars in front of Bobby Labonte. Here soon we'll see some of the drivers that were 2 laps down. There's Ryan Newman, Ricky Craven. I think there may be like 2 or 3 more that are going to come around. Maybe 1 or 2 more. They're going to go right to the inside. But from Jeff Green all the way back to Dave Blaney on the outside in front of Bobby Labonte are 1 lap down. And here sometime soon, there might be another driver coming around. But so far it is Ryan Newman and Ricky Craven that are 2 laps down that are going to restart on the inside. My oh my. Labonte's always been there. Bobby Labonte has always been there at the end of these play races. It's just he hasn't been able to seal the deal in recent years. He's been there in the Daytona 500. He's been there back at Talladega. And here today, he is once again up at the front with a possible chance to win today. As here comes Jimmy Johnson, as a matter of fact. Like we said, we had a feeling that he was one of the other drivers that was a part of the drivers that were multiple laps down that were going to restart on the bottom. So, Bobby Labonte, he could have a really solid day. He could win. He's got quite a bit of laps to fend off the leader, to fend off all the drivers behind him. But he's got guys like his teammate Tony Stewart behind him, Jeremy Mayfield, Robbie Gordon, Dale Jarrett, John Andretti, Johnny Benson, Wistic Cup leader Zachary Smithly. And then you have the drivers behind them are Casey Mears, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. Pace car lights are off, and he heads to pit lane. Jeff Green will lead him down. He ain't the leader, but he'll go first. Jeff Green gets a massive launch. Ryan Newman, Ricky Craven, and Jimmy Johnson follow suit. Now the rest of the field goes that are now led by Joe Nemechek in the 25. And look at how bunched up they already are on the inside. There's already 2 packs of cars that have already formed, but Bobby Labonte has the lead. Now goes to his teammate, Tony Stewart, because Labonte's stuck up on the outside. They're going to try to make another line up there on the outside. Doesn't look like it'll happen. Kenny Wallace tried it. It did not work. Bobby Labonte has the lead. Here comes that second pack of cars. Zachary didn't get off the line very well. He actually held him back because he didn't want him to pass him. Here comes Casey Mears. The little lady's going to go to the outside of Zach, but it didn't work. But here comes Zach with Mark Martin and Nadu. Mark stays in the middle. Now they're going for it. But up front, it is Tony Stewart that leads at Daytona with Mayfield behind and Bobby Labonte in third. Zachary, Nadu, Michael Waltrip, all 3 on the outside. They may have a 4th driver. And Kurt Busch, there he is, right up on the outside with him. Now it is just Zach and Nadu. He's pushing. Nadu is pushing Smithly ever so slightly. Here comes Ken Schrader on the outside. Looks like he was trying to block Zach's run, but Zach's having none of it. In turn, Schrader's going to go back and into the clutches of Mark Martin. They make contact in 3. They make contact more contact between the 2. And along goes Mark Martin. Mark Martin was having a great race, and now it's over for Mark Martin. Look at the damage on the right side of his car. Poor Mark, but in turn, Zachary Smithly leads with 12 laps to go at Daytona. He's got Jerry Nadeau on the outside with him. He's fighting for the lead. He's fighting for the win, as a matter of fact. The one of the drivers that are fighting for the lead is the 2 drivers on the outside, the 2 drivers at the back and the middle, and then from Tony Stewart all the way back to Jason Keller, they're fighting for the lead. But Zach is going to be using these lap cars as a pick. Zachary's trying to maybe get in front of these lap cars. He really wants to be out ahead of them. He might get a little bit of help, though, because the 4 lap cars in front that took off early, they're going to be super slow, and they're going to slow up whatever line they're going to be a part of, which might be just the bottom. But with Jeff Green, where we saw he was in the middle, he just might slow up the middle as well. Now the outside's got 3 rookies in there with Smithly, Larry Foyt, and Jason Keller. We still wish Jack Sprague all the best. I hope he gets well sometime soon. He might be getting back in the car sometime soon. We have no idea. But Jerry Nadeau's involved in all of that. But now you see Tony Stewart and Tony Andretti going for it. But they gotta watch out. Look at those 4. They're catching them so fast. Sadler tried going to the outside. He is gonna go to the outside. Actually may not look like it. Nemechek went to the middle to get behind Jeff Green, but it's gonna slow up those 2 lines. That's gonna allow Zach to get a better run up on the outside. There goes Mark Martin on pit road. Smithly continues to lead. He jumps down right in front of Nadu. He almost let the door open. With 10 laps to go, here are the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. Craven leads that low side. Johnson leads the middle. Zach leads the high side. Smithly getting a run from Jerry Nadeau in the 01 with the push. And also from Larry Foy in the 14. Here they come. But Craven fights back on the bottom with the Penske boys behind him. There's more burn. He's super slow. Johnson jumps in front of Zach, and they go right around him. Johnson goes back to the bottom, but Smithly back to the outside, trying to get around Johnson. Larry Foy went with Johnson, but Nadeau and Smithly get around him, and they jump to the inside. Now look who's on the outside of both of them. It's Jason Keller and Andretti. Michael Waltrip and Jeff Burton are there. They're fighting for this lead. Now it's the 4 cars on the outside and 3 of them on the inside fighting for the lead. Johnson separates Larry Foyt from Jerry Nadeau, who sits second right now. Zach's going to continue to run that low line like his life depends on it. He learned from earlier in the race. He learned what to do. He learned what not to do. Here comes Keller back on the outside. The rookies, 1 and 2 at the Pepsi 400. Mark Moore was coming out of the pits. Keller barely gets the lead, but Zach fights back on the inside. Can Nadeau push Smithly? Will Johnson do anything to help maybe his Hendricks affiliate teammate? Maybe not, because his teammate Jeff Gordon's in the fight for the championship. Look at where Gordon is. He's back where Benson's at. Jason Keller in the 0 trying to fight Zach. He's trying to fight for a first career win and the first win for the Net-Zero Pontiac for Haas. Zach gets out further ahead. He'll continue to lead. Look at the outside. Fun fact about the outside. None of those 3 are fighting for the lead. Craven, Newman, and Dave Blaney are not fighting out for the lead. Keller kind of got a little bit separated from John Andretti in the 43. Keller still has so many guys behind him. Keller trying to win for the first time this season. Jerry Nadeau trying to win for the first time this season. John Andretti trying to win for the first time this season. Zachary trying to win for the 6th time and extend his points lead over Gordon. But Gordon is back there. They stack up even more. Zach, I think, went to the outside and accidentally stacked up Andretti. I don't think he meant to do that. But he did it anyways, and that's going to force Jason Keller backwards. They're coming to 6 laps to go at Daytona. Craven now in front of Keller. Will Jerry Nadeau go to the outside? Will he try to make a move on Smithly? Doesn't look like he will. Nadeau keeps it on the bottom, just behind the 80. Oh, here goes Nadeau. Zach follows Nadeau. Zach followed him. He followed him up the track. He really does not want Nadeau around him. Here comes Johnson. Zach hits in front of Johnson. Zach's got to pay attention because, yes, Jerry Nadeau is his fight. Yes, Larry Foyt's his fight. They're both near him. But look at the outside. Andretti, Waltrip, Matt Kenseth, they're all fighting for the win. 5 to go at Daytona. Here comes Nadeau with push with the help from Ricky Craven. Smithly trying to side draft and to pull him back a little bit. Gonna get in front of Nadeau. Nadeau trying to get him out in front of Zach. Can he get in front of him? He doesn't look like he can. Jason Keller drops to the inside, right in front of Larry Foyt. Newman leads that high line. But Newman, now with the 77 getting off the back bumper of the 12, that's going to pose a problem, but an even bigger problem is the middle. Jeff Burton just lost his drafting partner in Kenny Wallace, but Andretti and Waltrip, they're going back there. They're getting behind Jeff Burton. They're going to push him to the front. They're going to get him by these slack cars of Dave Blaney and Ryan Newman. Meanwhile, Jerry Nadeau keeping on the side of Zachary Smithly, trying to go for the win. It is not over till it is over. Nadeau peeks out a little bit. Ryan Newman with the run on the outside. Help from the lappers of Dave Blaney and Warren Burton. But guess who's following him? It's the Roush teammates of Kensington Kurt. Newman dropped down in front of Zach. Zach went to the outside. He's going to try to get in front of Newman. Zach is doing everything he can to win. Coming to 3 to go. Dave Blaney's out ahead of Zach. He's not going for the lead. But he is going to drop down in front of him. He's going to drop down in front of Newman. He does, in fact, drop down in front of Newman. Zach just trying to hold that middle line. He kind of gets a little bit tight off of turn 2, but he dropped down right back in front of Nadeau. Smithly trying everything he can to win at Daytona. His play racing record is 31st and 6. 31st in the 500, 6th back at Talladega. He almost won Talladega, as a matter of fact. Tonight, he is not going to be denied. He wants that super speedway win, and he's going to do everything he possibly can to make it happen as they come to 2 laps to go. Ken's is still there. Zach jumps to the outside of Ward, holding Ward Burton back, but also holding Jerry Nadeau back. He can't really do anything about that inside. That's got its own league of its own people. The first 3 on the bottom are all fighting one another for position. Dave Blaney, Ryan Newman, and Jimmy Johnson are all fighting for position. Zach's got to really watch out as they head down to the final lap. Nadeau is behind him, but just to the inside of Nadeau is Jason Keller. Behind him is Larry Foyt. On the outside, Ward Burton might not be fighting for the lead, but there are 4 cars behind him, and Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Jeremy Mayfield, and Michael Waltrip going for the win. White flag is out one more time at Daytona. Zach trying to go back-to-back. Zach trying to win for the first time on a super speedway. He keeps him on the high line. Nadeau is trying to do something. He goes back to the middle, but he jumps right back to the outside. Zach trying to hold him back. He makes contact with Johnson. He saw Jason Keller. He saw Keller was getting close. He's trying to do everything he can, even if that means hitting his Hendricks affiliate teammate. He jumps back to the outside of Nadeau. Jumps in front of Ricky Craven. Keeping it in the middle. Zach is going to do just enough. Into the Trovo they come. Zachary Smithly wins at Daytona. Zachary Smithly finally wins at Daytona for the first time. Only makes a little bit of contact with Nadeau. He clips Keller. He clipped Keller. Didn't even pronounce Keller's name. I was getting a war vomit. Holy moly. Thankfully, though, it's after the finish, but what in the world just happened there? Zachary Smithly wins at Daytona in an amazing finish. Holy moly. It does not get any better than that. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? I think you all are entertained. That was amazing. Holy moly. But with this win, that'll extend Zachary's points lead over Jeff Gordon. Never thought that we would see the day where Zachary would continue to to pull away from Jeff Gordon, but hey, it has finally happened. It has finally happened. Or not finally happened, but it has happened once again. He continues to extend his points lead over Jeff Gordon. Congratulations to Zach as he burns it down right behind us. Let's go on ahead and take a look at the finishing results coming out of today's race. So, Zachary Smithly wins at Daytona, with Jerry Nadeau following in suit in second. Jason Keller with his best career finish in third. Jeff Burton with a fourth. Larry Foyt with yet another top 5 finish. Good job to Larry Foyt. John Andretti in 6th, Matt Kenseth in 7th, Kurt Busch in 8th, Jeremy Mayfield in 9th, and Bobby Labonte rounds out the top 10. So a top 10 finish for Bobby Labonte, not too bad. And you got Michael Waltrip finishing at 11th, Johnny Benson in 12th, Robbie Gordon in 13th, Dale Jarrett in 14th, Casey Mears in 15th, Tony Stewart, who was up there at the restart, unfortunately fell back to 16th. Jeff Gordon losing a heap amount of points in 17th. Jamie McMurray in 18th, Ray Buffalo in 19th, and Kyle Petty in 20th. And then you got Ricky Rudd in 21st, Steve Park in 22nd, Bill Elliott in 23rd, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 24th, Mike Skinner 25th, Kevin Harvick in 26th, Todd Bodine 27th, Sterling Marlin 28th, Dave Blaney 29th, and Ryan Newman finishes in 30th. A lot of these drivers had an opportunity to be up there at the front, but that caution really screwed up the strategy for a lot of different people. And then you have Ricky Craven 31st, Jeff Green in 32nd, Elliott Sadler 33rd, Joe Nemechek 34th, the Wallace brothers of Rusty in 35th and Kenny in 36th, Jimmy Spencer 37th, Tony Raines in 38th, Ken Schrader 39th, and Jimmy Johnson finishes in 40th. And then you had the last 3 drivers. Man, it sucks to say these names because they were up there at the front. They were doing pretty dang well. But again, until that caution came out, everything flipped itself on its head. Mark Barron 41st, Ward Burton 42nd, and Terry Labonte finishes in 43rd. So, very unfortunate for those 3. But was it a good race for a lot of other different drivers? We could say that. It was very good for, well, it was good for Zach. Zach was the one that got the most out of it, and well, these point standings are going to show it here in a little bit. But before we do that, this took a long while, and I want to say this before we get into the point standings. A lot changed in that, or in this version, with the ticker and all that sort of stuff. I really do hope you guys enjoyed all the changes that were made, but the changes are not done. So before I do that, the next race is the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland Speedway. It'll be an interesting race. NASCAR is actually returning there IRL later in the year. So, heading back to Chicagoland, it's going to be great. It'll be a daytime race. Probably going to be sunny, as I think it will be. But, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun heading down to Chicagoland. So, let's get to the point standings, which you guys are going to automatically see something different with the points. I'm just going to say that right now. But Zachary Smithly maintains his points lead over Jeff Gordon in 2nd place, with Ryan Newman in 3rd, Ricky Rudd in 4th, Bill Elliott in 5th, Jimmy Johnson 6th, Kurt Busch in 7th, Matt Kenseth in 8th, Jeff Burton in 9th, and Jeff Green rounds out the top 10. Now, with these point standings, you might notice something a little bit different. There is actually, I mean, yes, the fact that we now show the top 10, that's one of the big things. But also, look at the right-hand side. If you're wondering what that is the amount of points back that every single driver is from the points leader. So, Jeff Gordon is now 213 points back from Zachary, well over a race behind Zach. Newman's 366 back, Ricky Rudd is 443 back, Bill Elliott is 469 points back, Jimmy Johnson's 472 back, Kurt Busch 491 back, Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton, as a matter of fact, are 502 points back, and Jeff Green is 533 points back from the points leader. Now, if you think that ends there, that doesn't end there, because we also got a top 20. So, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 11th, 624 back. Jay McMurray's in 12th, 635 back. Bobby Labonte in 13th, 682 back. Kevin Harvick in 14th, 693 back. Michael Waltrip at 15th, 694 back. Dale Jarrett in 16th, 754 back. Tony Stewart in 17th, 776 points back. That took a little bit longer than I would have liked to say. Jeremy Mayfield 18th, 784 back. Sterling Marlin 19th, 834 back. And Tony Raines 836 points back. I'm going to say this right now. The further I get into this, I'm not going to really be saying how many points back they are. They're just astronomically freaking big. I'm good on saying a lot of these, but let's go ahead and show the top 30, shall we? So we got John Andretti 21st, 842 back. Rusty Wallace in 22nd, 859 back. Jerry Nadeau up to 23rd. Like, he didn't compete in the Daytona 500, but ever since then, he's climbed his way up to 23rd after missing a race. There's a lot of drivers that missed 1 or 2 races that are very high in the point standings, and Jerry Nadeau is one of them. And up in the top 20 that we showed earlier, there's quite a bit of drivers over there that are doing pretty well as well. Then you got Mark Martin 24th, 925 back. Gray Biffle at 25th, 936 back. Johnny Benson in 26th, 946 back. Elliott Sallers in 25th, 997 back. Terry Labonte is 28th, 1,014 points back. 29th is Kyle Petty, 1,018 points back. And Steve Parker 30th is 1,053 points back. Do you see what I mean by I'm not going to say how far back a lot of these drivers are? Because we're getting to the 1,000 points, and that's going to take a little bit. So let's show the top 40, and let's just say the drivers. Casey Mears in 31st, Ricky Craven 32nd, Dave Blady's in 33rd, Kenny Wallace in 34th, Joe Nemechek 35th, Robbie Gordon 36th, Ward Byrne in 37th, Larry Foy, 38th, Tabadine in 39th, and Ken Schrader in 40th. And then the top 50, with Jimmy Spencer 41st, Mike Skinner 42nd, Jason Keller's up to 43rd, ahead of Jack Sprague in 44th, Scott Pruitt is in 45th, Casey Atwood's in 46th, Mike Wallace in 47th, Christian Fittipaldi in 48th, Kerry Earnhardt 49th, and Shelby Howard in 50th. You got Hermie Sadler 51st, Buckshot Jones in 52nd, Derek Cope in 53rd, Kirk Shelmerdine in 54th, Bobby Hamilton Jr. 55th, Brett Bodine 56th, Morgan Shepherd 57th, and Boris Said in 58th. I did change Boris Said's picture to actually show numbers instead of Boris Johnson. So it was funny, but I thought it actually had some numbers. So I decided to add the two Haas zeros together. Why not? So yeah, lots of changes, and I'm happy about it. I hope you guys are happy about it too. I hope this video was worth the wait. You guys have been incredibly patient with waiting for this video, and I cannot thank you all enough for that at all. I just can't put into words just how thankful I am for all of you guys being patient and allowing me and my editor to put all this together and make this video that much more special to not only just myself but to you guys. I wanted to make this video really good, and again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I mean, I can safely say it was worth it. It was very much worth it. But yeah, like I said before, next race is Chicagoland for the Tropicana 400. That race should be a lot of fun, and well, we're just gonna find out when we get down to it. So yeah, I'm happy with the changes. Let me know what you guys think of the changes. But congratulations to Zach. One more final time. 6th win of the season. Extends his point lead. He is now 213 points ahead of Jeff Gordon as we head into the last half of the season. And even though essentially Daytona will start the last half of the season, well, now we're going into the last half of the season. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Lots of different tracks. Lots of tracks that we've been to, haven't been to. Things could change, things could not change. Who knows at this point, but thank you all so much. Congratulations to Zachary one more final time. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all next Saturday for the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. Thank you all so much. I love y'all, and I'll see you all later. Have a great day, everyone. I love you, and goodbye.